Unfinished evaluation used to take her baby. Who filled in the rest?
Your sister gets the baby. You're not fit to be a mother. The words land flat, like it's already decided. No hesitation, no doubt. I'm sitting in a family courtroom, hands folded in my lap, my newborn asleep just a few feet away while strangers decide where she belongs. My sister is beside the social worker, calm, prepared. They're all nodding like I'm not even here. Like I didn't carry her. Like I didn't fight for every appointment, every class, every step they said I missed. Marissa leans forward, soft voice, rehearsed concern. I can give her stability. Lena just can't. I almost laugh. The judge lowers his pen to sign. Then I smile and say, "Should I tell them or will you?" His hand stops. My sister's face drains. And then she snaps. "Tell us what?" The room doesn't breathe. Even the clerk at the side stops typing. I don't look at Marissa when she says it. I keep my eyes on the judge because he's the only one in this room who doesn't already think I've lost. You heard the social worker, Marissa adds, her voice tightening now. There's nothing else to... There is, I cut in, still smiling. It's small, controlled, but it's enough to make Diane, the social worker, shift in her seat. That's the first crack, because Diane hasn't looked nervous this entire hearing. Not when she listed every concern. Not when she described me like I was fragile glass about to shatter. But now she won't meet my eyes. The judge sets his pen down slowly. "Miss Carter," he says carefully, "if you have something relevant to this proceeding, you need to say it clearly. Relevant. Like my entire life hasn't been filtered through reports I barely recognize." I glance at the folder in front of Diane. Thick. Organized. Every page about me written by someone else. Missed appointments I never knew about. Behavior I don't remember showing. Evaluations I was told were incomplete. And somehow all of it points to the same conclusion: unfit. Marissa finally turns fully toward me, her composure slipping just enough. "Lena, don't do this," she whispers, sharp under her breath. "You're making it worse. Worse." Like losing my child in a room full of people who already decided who I am isn't the worst it gets. I tilt my head slightly, studying her. "You were at every meeting," I say, just loud enough for the judge to hear. Every single one. Diane straightens. She was a support person. "No," I interrupt, my voice firmer now. "She was more than that." The judge's eyes narrow. Marissa's fingers tighten around the edge of the table. And for the first time since this hearing started, she looks scared. I lean forward, just enough to break whatever illusion they built. Because support people don't get to help write the story, I say quietly, "A beat." Then I add, "So why does it feel like she already knew the ending?" The judge doesn't answer right away, and that silence is louder than anything that's been said so far. Marissa shifts beside Diane, forcing a small, dismissive laugh. "This is exactly what I was talking about," she says, turning slightly toward the judge. "She spirals like this when she's under pressure. She creates things that aren't there." Creates things? I let that sit for a second. Then I shake my head. No, I remember things. That lands differently. Because I don't sound emotional, I don't sound unstable, I sound certain. And that's new to them. I glance down at the table, at my hands, steady now and then back up. Like the parenting class I supposedly missed, I say, the one that's in her report. Diane straightens immediately. "That was documented. I was there," I cut in, my voice calm but sharp. "I signed in. I stayed the full 2 hours. But in your report, I looked directly at her now. I left early, agitated. A flicker crosses her face. Quick, controlled. But it's there." The judge notices. Marissa jumps in, faster this time. Lena, you were overwhelmed that day. You told me yourself. I told you I was tired, I reply, turning to her slowly. There's a difference. The room tightens again. I can feel it, people recalculating, even if they won't admit it yet. I keep going before anyone can interrupt. And the appointment I missed? I continue. The one that's apparently proof I'm unreliable? Diane exhales, clearly trying to regain control. You were notified. No, I wasn't. Now my voice is louder. Not shouting, but impossible to ignore. I checked my emails, my messages, my voicemail. Nothing. I pause, letting that sink in, but somehow it still made it into the report. The judge leans back slightly, his attention fully on me now. Marissa's jaw tightens. You forget things, Lena. That's been part of the concern from the beginning. I turn to her, sharper this time. Then why do you remember them so clearly? That hits hard. She freezes, not completely, just enough. And it's enough for the judge to notice. I lean in slightly, lowering my voice again, more controlled now. You were at that appointment too, weren't you? I ask. The one I supposedly missed. Marissa doesn't answer. Diane tries to step in again, but the judge raises a hand, silencing her without even looking. That's the second crack. I don't look away from my sister. Every meeting, every evaluation, every conversation about me, I say quietly, you were always there. Her fingers curled tighter against the table. And then I ask the question that finally shifts everything. Why were you speaking for me before anyone decided I couldn't speak for myself? Marissa inhales sharply, and for a split second, she doesn't have an answer. Answer her. The judge's voice cuts clean through the room, and now it's not routine anymore. It's controlled, deliberate. Marissa swallows, straightening her posture. I was there because she needed me, she says, measured again, trying to recover. She asked for help. I stepped in. I let out a quiet breath through my nose. No, I say, reaching into my bag. That's not how it started. Every eye tracks the movement. Paper slides against paper as I pull out a small stack, printed, highlighted, organized. I place them on the table, then slide the top sheet forward toward the judge. Diane's shoulders stiffen instantly. These are emails, I say. Between you, I glance at Diane and my sister. Diane doesn't touch them. The judge does. He scans the first page, his expression tightening just slightly. Marissa leans forward. That doesn't prove anything. I was communicating concerns. Before anything happened, I cut in. Silence. I tap one of the highlighted lines. 3 weeks before my first evaluation, I say, steady, precise, you told Diane I was showing signs of instability and that I might not be able to care for a newborn. The judge's eyes move across the page again. I don't rush. I let him read. You described incidents that hadn't even been documented yet. I continue. Things that only show up later in official reports. Diane finally speaks, voice tight. Family members are allowed to share observations. That's standard. Predictions aren't observations. That lands harder than I expected. A quiet ripple moves through the room, just a shift in posture, a glance between people, but it's there. Marissa shakes her head quickly. You're twisting this. I knew you. I saw what you were going through. You built a version of me, I say, turning to her fully now, and then handed it to them like evidence. Her composure slips again, faster this time. I was trying to protect the baby, and I was trying to be her mother. The words sit between us, sharp, immovable. The judge raises a hand slightly. Continue, he says to me. That's when I pick up the last document. I don't hand it over yet. I just hold it. This one, I say quietly, I had to request 3 times before they gave it to me. Diane's eyes lock onto it. For the first time, real fear. It wasn't included in the original file I was allowed to see, I add. I was told not to worry about it. Marissa's voice drops, almost a whisper now. Lena, don't. I ignore her. I look at the judge. This is the report that decided everything I say. A beat, then, and I was never supposed to read it. The judge extends his hand. Give it to me. I don't move right away, because for the first time since this started, they're the ones waiting on me. And Marissa? She's shaking her head, barely noticeable, like she already knows what's coming. I finally slide the paper forward and say, this is where it stops being a misunderstanding. The judge doesn't speak as he takes the document. He reads, slowly, carefully, and the longer he stays silent, the heavier the room feels. Diane shifts beside Marissa, but she doesn't interrupt this time. She's watching the judge, trying to read him. Marissa isn't even pretending anymore. Her eyes are locked on the paper like she's trying to will it out of existence. I keep my voice steady. That report, I say, is the psychological evaluation you based your entire recommendation on. The judge doesn't look up. I continue. The one that says, I'm unstable, that I can't regulate stress, that I show signs of detachment. A quiet breath leaves me. I never finished that evaluation. That gets a reaction. Diane leans forward immediately. That's not accurate. I left early, I say, cutting her off. 40 minutes in, I told the evaluator I had to reschedule. Now the judge looks up, just slightly. That session was never completed, I add, and it was never rescheduled. Silence stretches. Then Diane tries again, tighter this time. Partial evaluations can still be used if this one wasn't partial. I nod toward the paper in the judge's hand. It's complete, detailed, final. Every word lands slower than the last. The judge's gaze drops back to the report. His expression changes. Not dramatically, but enough. Enough to shift everything. Marissa suddenly speaks too quickly. You don't understand how these assessments work. I turn to her. No, I say quietly. I understand exactly how this one worked. She stops. I take a step closer to the table, my voice lowering, not emotional, just precise. It includes responses I never gave. I let that sit. It describes reactions I didn't have. Another beat, and it reaches conclusions based on time that never happened. Diane's hand tightens around her folder. There are professional standards. Then explain the timestamp. That cuts through everything. The judge flips a page. There it is. Session duration. Start time, end time. Longer than I was ever in that room. My voice doesn't waver. You needed that report, I say, looking between them, because everything else wasn't enough. Marissa shakes her head now, faster, desperate. This is being twisted. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. You were there, I say. She freezes at that evaluation. Her lips part, but nothing comes out. I take one more step forward. You sat in, you talked, you answered questions when I stepped out. Diane finally breaks. That is not. You finished it for her. The words land like a verdict. Marissa's face collapses, not confusion. Recognition. Because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And the judge? He closes the file. Slowly. Then looks up, not at me. At them. No one speaks. The judge's voice is low, controlled, but it carries enough weight to stop Diane mid-breath. He sets the report flat on the desk, fingers resting on it like it's something fragile or dangerous. Miss Keller, he says without looking up, did the evaluator complete this assessment in full, based solely on direct observation of Miss Carter? Diane hesitates. That's all it takes. Answer the question. Not solely, she admits, her voice thinner now. There were supplemental input. From the sister? The judge asks. Silence again. Then, yes. Marissa closes her eyes for a second. like that word alone undoes everything she's built. The judge nods once, slowly absorbing it, and those inputs were incorporated into a finalized psychological report used to determine parental fitness. No one corrects him, because they can't. He turns a page, scanning quickly now, connecting the pieces out loud. A report based on an incomplete session, extended with second-hand statements, presented as clinical fact. His gaze lifts sharp now. That is a procedural failure at best. At worst, it is a misrepresentation of evidence in a custody proceeding. The air shifts completely. This isn't about me being unfit anymore. This is about them. I feel it in my chest. Not relief, not yet. Just a release of pressure that's been building for months. Marissa finally speaks, her voice breaking through the silence. I was trying to help, she says, but it's not steady anymore. She was struggling. I saw it. I just filled in what she couldn't. You replaced me, I say. She looks at me, eyes glassy, desperate for something, understanding, agreement, anything. You told them who I was, I continue, without me in the room. I was protecting the baby, she snaps, louder now, cracking. And I was raising her. That lands harder than anything else. Because it's simple, and it's true. The judge raises a hand again. That's enough. He turns back to the bench, writing now, but not the way he was before. Not routine, not automatic. Deliberate. Effective immediately, he says. This hearing is suspended pending review. Diane stiffens. Your Honor, I am not finished. She stops. He continues. Each word precise. The recommendation to transfer custody to the sister is vacated until an independent evaluation is conducted. Marissa's head snaps toward him. Vacated? This court cannot act on compromised evidence, he says flatly. Then his eyes shift to me. Miss Carter, you will undergo a new psychological evaluation independently assigned. No third-party participation. I nod once. Understood. Until that is completed, he adds, temporary custody arrangements will remain under court supervision. The child will not be reassigned today. Marissa exhales sharply, like the ground just dropped out from under her. You can't just, she starts. I can, the judge cuts in, and I have. Silence again. But it's different now. People aren't looking at me like I'm unstable. They're looking at them. Diane closes her folder slowly, but her hands aren't steady anymore. There will also be a formal review, the judge continues, into the handling of this case, including communication boundaries between involved parties. That lands where it needs to. Diane doesn't respond. Marissa doesn't speak again, because now there are consequences beyond this room. A few days later, everything feels quieter. Not fixed, but different. I sit in a clean, neutral office across from a new evaluator. No interruptions. No one speaking over me. No one clarifying my answers. Just questions. And time to answer them. When I leave, there's no confusion about what was said. No missing pieces. For the first time, the story about me actually comes from me. The follow-up hearing is shorter, cleaner. The judge doesn't hesitate this time when he speaks. The previous recommendation is dismissed, he says. Findings from the independent evaluation do not support claims of parental unfitness. He doesn't even look at Diane when he says it. He looks at me. Custody remains with the mother. It's not dramatic. No one gasps. But it lands deeper than anything that happened before. Marissa sits still, staring forward. She doesn't argue this time, because there's nothing left to stand on. Later, outside the courthouse, I hold my daughter against my chest. She's warm, quiet, real. No reports, no summaries, no interpretations. Just her. My mom lingers a few steps away, unsure now, like she doesn't know where she stands after all of this. Marissa doesn't come out with us. I don't go looking for her. There's nothing left to say. I adjust the blanket around my baby, pressing my cheek lightly against her head. They decided who I was without me, I say softly, more to myself than anyone else. Y pausa. Then exhale. That was their mistake. And this time, no one interrupts.
If she hadn't spoken up, would anyone have caught it, or was this always the plan?